staying here on the Joy News channel. So you just saw Interior Minister Ambrose Derry appearing before the Commission of Inquiry into the Ayawaso West Wogan by-election violence. And he's been saying a couple of things, notable amongst them. Let me start in the order in which he delivered his testimony as he was questioned by lawyer Eric Mensah. He's leading the commission to gather evidence from these people appearing before the commission. Now, he says that he got to know about the violence by watching TV. He spoke to the IGP, and the IGP had told him that he was aware of the incident and that at around 8:30 p.m. a complaint was lodged at the airport police station, and police officers headed to the residence of the NDC candidate and offered protection and also started investigation and visited him. And he's also been talking about the issue of vigilantism and argues that he would rather we do not attach the political tag to it and that it's a crime, and that he agrees that they must be dealt with, okay? And he also did mention that there's a need for education when he was asked on specific strategy to deal with the issue. But he did state, though, that for what his mandate is, it will strictly be to enforce the law. He, however, adds that they are working with organizations like the NCCE to do the other bits, including education. And now he said emphatically that the IGP told him that the masked men we saw there were not deployed by the Ghana Police Service or part of persons deployed by the Ghana Police Service. All right. So the next witness is ready. We'll be taking you shortly, even as he takes his oath.
I hereby swear by the Bible that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Please be reminded that by the oath you've taken, you have made a promise to speak the truth, and failure to do so constitutes an offense for which you be liable to punishment.
Thank you.
Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And can I please plead, Chairman, honorable members of the Commission, that before I submit myself to the questions that the Commission may want to put to me, can I humbly appeal that I take the opportunity to make a couple of remarks?
Very well. You are permitted, Honorable.
Thank you. So, Honorable Chairman and honorable members of the Commission, I have been told that as the Minister for National Security, and because of the sensitivity of the issues that I normally deal with, I should demand that I give my evidence in camera and not in public. I have rejected this advice. I've rejected this advice because I believe openness and transparency are crucial to the work of this commission on this very, very important matter. Beyond this, unlike all Ghanaians, I have full confidence, respect for this commission and the honorable members. And I'm proud that the President selected you to constitute the commission. It is expected that in the course of the work of this commission, I believe you will consider the issue of political vigilantism and help to find a lasting solution. Honorable Chairman, the views of the President on political vigilantism are well known, well articulated. He is of the firm belief that it poses a major threat to our democracy and must be stopped immediately. And Honorable Chairman, my own personal views on political vigilantism are clear and known to many Ghanaians. 3 days before the events of 31st January, that is at the by-election, I talked about the dangers of political vigilantism at a round table that was organized by the National Peace Council with support from the UK Embassy. And last week at Peduase, my ministry organized a security dialogue to deliberate on vigilantism. It brought together 6 ministers of state, including the senior minister, chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, members of the Security and Intelligence Community, including the IGP, members from academia, religious bodies, and civil society. Honorable Chairman, we thoroughly examined and discussed the security threat associated with political vigilantism. And if I may add, this forum had been organized even before the events that led up to the setting up of this commission. And I say it to illustrate how determined we are that as a nation we address this important issue of political vigilantism. And Honorable Chairman, at the end of our deliberations in Peduase, after listening also to a presentation by the Center for Democratic Development, all of us came to the conclusion that putting an end to the activities of political vigilante groups must be a top priority. The activities of vigilantism in Jamaica, in Rwanda, and religious vigilantism in Nigeria should warn us. And we also do know that the majority of Ghanaians disapprove of their activities. Honorable Chairman and members, we were in fact at Peduase when the announcement of the setting up of this commission was announced. Indeed, the Executive Secretary, Mr. Abuchi, was there. All of us hailed the setting up of this commission, and to most of us at Peduase, this commission must have the duty to save our democracy. And I just want you to know that Ghana demands a solution to political vigilantism from this commission. There have been far too many cases of violence by hired thugs in our elections. In the past, these incidents have not been investigated and people found to have misconducted themselves sanctioned. It's not too late. We need to do something. Unless we sanction and punish those who misconduct themselves, we cannot expect to have an end to this. Honorable Chairman, I'm most grateful.
Thank you. Very well. Honorable, in line with the mandate of the commission, I'm supposed to ask you questions and hope that you give us the necessary answers, as well as any proof, being documentary evidence or whatever you may have in your possession. Now, you are the Minister for National Security, am I right?
I am.
Honorable, can you describe to the Commission what the specific mandate of your ministry is?
The specific functions of the Minister for National Security are, first of all, I oversee the security and intelligence agencies in the country. I provide them with appropriate orientation. I provide them with guidance and direction to the security and intelligence agencies, and indeed the national security apparatus. Honorable Chairman, I also oversee the development and implementation of the security policies which would have been adopted by the Council or as directed by the President of the nation. I am supposed to present a national security policy to Parliament once every 4 years, and to communicate national security issues to Parliament and also to the general public. In summary, these constitute the duties of the National Security Minister.
Very well. Honorable, now help the Commission understand. Now, we understand besides your ministry, there is a Minister of State in charge of national security. Is there an overlap between your duties?
The Minister of State for national security is, if you like, my deputy.
Very well. Honorable, if you may explain further what you mean by the Minister of State in charge of security being your deputy. Does it mean he takes direct instructions from you, being the minister?
He is supposed to take instructions from me, but not on everything that he does. I mean, similarly, I do have a national security coordinator who is supposed to take instructions from me, but he doesn't wait for my specific approval before he undertakes any activity. He will later tell me about what he has done, and for my information, yes.
So from this answer you've just given, does it mean that you will be ultimately responsible for the actions and inactions of the Minister of State in charge of national security?
To the extent that he was carrying out the legitimate duties of the ministry.
Now, are you aware of the reported incidents of violence at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency on the 31st day of January 2019 during a by-election?
I myself was not in the country at the time, but I have been given a brief, as is normally the case.
And more specifically, are you aware of shooting incidents or reported shooting incidents that took place in the said constituency?
Yes, I have been told of an incident near one of the polling stations in the constituency, yes.
Are you also aware of another incident in which a member of parliament is alleged to have been assaulted?
Yes, I have been briefed on that, and I've seen it on television as well.
Now, as the Minister for National Security, have you been given any after-incident report?
Yes, we've had a series of meetings for me to get an understanding of what happened, and especially the role of the Swat team that took part in the operation.
Would you, in this regard, be in position to share with the Commission what this report says?
Mr. Chairman, there is a special unit at the Ministry for National Security, SWAT team, we call it. And I want to say that it is not of a recent creation. It's been part of the national security architecture of this country for years, probably 20 years. It has uniformed policemen. And I'm told there were occasions where there were uniformed military personnel and also uniformed personnel from the immigration service. They also have some national security operatives who assist them in the discharge of their work. In recent times, since we've been there, the team is made up of policemen and some national security operatives. I believe the number of policemen that we have today is about 25 of them. But as I said, there always has been a SWAT team. The national security operatives who support them, who help them, are part of the national security operatives, informants that we normally employ. We have about 1,000 such operatives in the country, and they are deployed all over the country. They do some guard duties, essentially. And you will find that if you go to most of our installations, there will be some guards there. They are part of the national security operatives. There are some at the harbors. There are some at the airports. There are some at the various government offices. As I said, in all, we have 1,000 such operatives deployed all over the country. Mr. Chairman, about 100 of them are based at the National Security Headquarters. And they normally assist the police team, the SWAT team, as we call them, on patrol duties. And they also help the police to provide rapid response to security challenges. These 100 people will normally join the police to undertake patrol duties in the night and in the day if the need arises. On that Thursday, the SWAT team, I'm advised, deployed 60 men, comprising 25 uniformed police officers and 35 national security operatives. They were under the command of a Deputy Superintendent of Police, Mr. Kojo Azugu, who is the commander of the SWAT team. Honorable Chairman, as per our standard practices, the national security operatives are not allowed to hold weapons during operations. And I'm advised that on that Thursday operation, the operatives did not carry guns. On the other hand, all the uniformed policemen who were part of the operation were armed. Chairman, for any operation, the commander, the Deputy Superintendent of Police, will obtain the approval of the Director of Operations at the National Security Secretariat, who is a military man, in fact, a colonel, called Colonel Opuku. So the team that went on that operation was under the command of a Deputy Superintendent of Police, and it had been approved the operation itself had been approved by the Director of Operations at the National Security Secretariat. I'm told, Honorable Chairman, that for this operation, they acted based on intelligence report that there were weapons in a building within the constituency where the by-election was to take place. They therefore mounted surveillance around the place so that they can stop the use of the weapons, and if it was possible to retrieve the weapons without any confrontation, they would do so. They were to find that that building happened to be a building which was being used as the operational headquarters for the NDC candidate. So when they got there, they realized that some caution was needed before they were accused of having broken into the house of one of the parliamentary candidates. So they were in the area watching how things would develop. While in the vicinity, while they were conducting the surveillance operations, they encountered Honorable Sam George of the NDC, who came in a car that I'm told also carried a deputy women's organizer of the NDC and another lady. They had been driven away from a polling station where they were escorted by 15 people on motorbikes. And this was in defiance of the inter-party agreement that no motorbike should be taken to a polling station. So there was a little bit of confusion at that polling station. And we are told that it took the intervention of an elder statesman, the Honorable Oku Van Dapoy, who talked to Honorable Sam George, and Honorable Sam George left that polling station with the people on motorbikes. Honorable Chairman, my information is that when they left that polling station, they all rushed into that house, which was under surveillance. When the SWAT team later attempted to go closer the house, the inmates started pelting them with stones. And later, they also said they heard gunshots coming from within the compound of the house. Our boys then gave some 6 warning shots, which they tell me did not hit anybody. But obviously, I await the end of the investigations to find out exactly what happened and how many shots they fired and whether it did hit somebody. For now, the commander tells me that the gunshot wound, one person was shot or had a gunshot wound. Whether it was a gunshot wound or not, we can only wait for the investigations to find out. They believe that that shot did not come from the warning shots that they gave, but probably the one from within the compound. They do not even remember seeing any such person on the ground, and that the person who was shot came from that compound. But all these things, your Honorable Chairman, we will find out the truth, hopefully, after the end of the investigations. You also did ask about the incident involving the Honorable Member of Parliament.
That is so.
Yes, I have been given a briefing, and I am told that after the first incident, and when they had dispersed but were within the vicinity, the Honorable Member started shouting that somebody had been killed in his presence, that he saw the person being killed, or because of by-election, he kept saying so. And in fact, I have heard him saying that on television as well. My information is that a member of the SWAT team then reminded him. A member of the SWAT team reminded him that, Honorable, you are causing fear and panic. It is not true that anybody died at that incident. We were there. You are causing fear and panic, and you should stop that. Apparently, the Honorable Member of Parliament did not take kindly to that, went towards where the boy was standing, the operative was standing. The operative also bet him halfway, and I understand he was hit by the operative. I want also to emphasize that all those who were in uniform are regular policemen and officers. That there was no member who belonged to the national security operatives who was in police uniform. The SWAT team at the National Security Headquarters has some vehicles allocated to them for their day-to-day use. Some of them come from the police and are painted in police colors. Some are not painted. They belong to the national security, but they are available for the SWAT team to use as and when necessary. We are also told that they had covered their faces. That is nothing new. These same operatives, Honorable Chairman, in the past have been displayed openly during National Independence Day celebrations. When security agencies come to display with their weapons, with their equipment, these boys normally go there as part of the display. When they go, they are dressed no differently than they were dressed when they undertook this operation. So they have always been part of the SWAT team. From the way they operate, they take instructions from the police, and as I said, they are not allowed to hold weapons. If indeed somebody who is not a uniformed policeman and member of the SWAT team did use any weapon, that would go against the normal rules of engagement, and that should call for sanctions.
Honorable, by operatives, are you referring to the masked men in brown uniform seen on the day?
Again, I'm not sure who was masked and who wasn't. I have asked that question, and I'm told that some of the uniformed policemen also had the mask on. So it was not only the operatives, if you like, call them the civilian operatives, who were wearing the mask on that day. That is the information I have been given by the commander.
Honorable, these civilian operatives, are they officially part of our security arrangement? Officially?
These civilians have been part of the national security architecture for years. It's not something that has recently been created. For years.
Are they properly trained?
They are properly trained for the work that they do. Most of the 1,000 people provide guard duties. They are trained. We've been given some training to do that. About 100 of them are normally kept in the headquarters to assist the police when they go out on patrol duties. They have been given such training as is necessary to be able to provide support. But remember, they don't go out carrying guns, and they do not undertake operations on their own. It must be as commanded by the commander, and it must be with uniformed policemen.
Honorable, you have been emphatic that the uniformed men were police officers. Am I right?
Certainly.
Now, are you aware that the director in charge of operations of the police on the day denied knowledge of these men?
I heard it. I asked him. His response was that I had just gotten out of my car when the media men asked me whether I knew the people. And he said, no, I don't even know the people that you're referring to. So when he said he didn't know them, he was only saying the natural thing. I've only just gotten out of my car. I need to know the people that you're referring to before I can make any such comment. But for now, I don't know them. That was the answer he gave to me.
Honorable, would you be surprised if I should tell you that this commission this morning has been told that according to the IGP, he was not aware of the presence of the masked men in brown uniform? Would you be surprised?
If you, by the masked men, you mean the SWAT team, then probably I can understand where he's coming from. Or by the masked men, you're talking about the SWAT team. So let me tell you why that can possibly arise. The system today has been that a unit, and as I say, comprising of 25 policemen and 1 officer, are assigned to the national security. The commander does not take instructions from the director of operations of the Ghana Police Service. Therefore, it is possible that that team will undertake an operation unknown to the director of operations of the Ghana Police Service. But that has been the system all these years. I have heard it questioned whether we should probably not think about the possibility of getting the SWAT team commander reporting on a daily basis to the Director General of Operations instead of to the Director of Operations at the National Security Council. Worth considering, probably.
Now, has it come to your attention that some of these security operatives, as you described them, were actually stationed at polling stations and that they had guns which were visible to the whole world?
That would be strange. That is news to me, and I cannot understand the possibility of something like this. If they are using guns, there will be guns that would have been issued to them at the National Security headquarters. We have not done anything. My advice is that they did not issue any such weapons. It would be very, very odd if they did.
Honorable, you have admitted this morning before this commission that some of the operatives in the house of a candidate had to shoot warning shots, if you like. And now you are also saying that these operatives do not wield guns. If I may ask, who shot these warning shots?
The team that I refer to comprised 25 uniformed policemen. Each one of them had a weapon. And 35 operatives. None of them had a weapon. And therefore, the civilian operatives, if you want, could not have fired a shot. If a shot was fired, and I have already said that my information is that 6 warning shots were fired by the SWAT team. They were all fired by uniformed policemen.
Very well. Now, you have indicated to this commission that their presence was upon a tip-off of weaponry hiding in a particular house. Am I right?
Yes, I did.
Very well. Honorable, you agree with me that we've had several elections in this country, being a by or general or any other election. You will agree with me, won't you?
Yeah, I do.
And that never have we had the presence of such men at any of our polling stations. Do you agree?
Well, not necessarily so. I mean, one cannot say with certainty that the SWAT team has never been used in any election. I don't think that can be right.
If I may be more specific, security operatives wearing masks, obviously disguising their identity, have never been used at polling stations. Am I right?
If ever some operatives had been used at a polling station, I'm sure they would have been so dressed in the past.
Do I take it you can neither confirm nor deny?
No, I cannot confirm or deny that there has never been the involvement of the SWAT team in any election. And please, it is also important to emphasize that this team did not go there because of a by-election. They didn't go for by-election duties. By-election security is provided by the police. This team was there because they had intelligence that there were weapons in a particular building. And if, again we wait for the investigation, if it turns out to be true that shots came from within that compound, it will only go to prove that they were right in deciding to mount the surveillance that they did. They were not there because of the by-election now.
Honorable, would you also agree with me that the presence of these masked men was likely to have intimidated voters? and probably cause some people not to vote?
The place where the incident took place was, my lord, not a polling station. That house wasn't a polling station. And their being around that vicinity could not have frightened anybody. Please get it right. They were not there as part of the security provided by the state for the by-election. No. That is not the brief, the information that has been given to me.
Very well. There is this general belief within the country, and that actually forms a conversation going around, that this group you describe as security operatives are actually part of a vigilante grouping within the new patriotic party. What do you have to say about that?
Definitely not true. Definitely not true. If the suggestion is that included in the operatives are people who normally belong to a particular vigilante group, no, that would be surprising. If some of them in the past had participated in some vigilante groups, that probably could be possible. But, Mr. Chairman, it is important to know about these political vigilante groups that we have in the country. There isn't one political vigilante group that belongs to a political party. The CDD has just come up with a study which establishes that these vigilante groups are owned by some individuals, some kingpins within the political parties. So the NPP hasn't got a vigilante group per se. There are vigilante groups that probably people associate with them. If you go into it, you will find that these are not vigilante groups of the party.
Now, on the subject of vigilante groups in the country, you being the minister in charge of security of the country, are you aware of the presence of vigilante groups in the country?
Honorable Chairman, not just that I'm aware, but it constitutes one of my greatest challenges. If you ask me to list the national security challenges that we have in the country, that will be found among the very top ones, which is why, in my opening statement, I said 3 days before this particular incident, I had spoken at a round table organized by the National Peace Council and had expressed my concern, had warned Ghanaians that unless we find a solution to this political vigilantism, our democracy will continue to be under threat. And in fact, even before this incident, I had also arranged for the political class, for the religious groups, people from the academia, people from the security and intelligence agencies. We had all planned, and in fact, it did take place. And as I said, your executive secretary was there in his capacity as an academician who has been known to have studied this particular program. We all met. And it was the conclusion, it was the belief of all of us that if ever there is a serious challenge to the future of our democracy, it will come from this. Boko Haram started as a religious vigilante group. And today, look at where they have advanced to. The whole of the Nigerian security forces are unable to conquer them. We know what vigilantism did in places like Rwanda, in Jamaica. We need to be able to stop this thing called vigilantism.
Very well, Honorable. Having identified the danger vigilantism poses to our society and giving your conviction to find solutions, if I may ask specifically, what have you done? What measures have you put in place to get rid of vigilantism in our country?
The police, the security agencies have been given firm instructions that vigilantism is crime, and anybody who indulges in it should be punished as per the laws of this country. The president has given specific instructions to the IGP on this matter. I have given similar instructions to the security and intelligence agencies that I control. When we organized the retreat at Piduase, it was all in search of finding a lasting solution to this. And I don't want to preempt what they intend to do from that retreat, but I know that efforts are being made to start a civil society-led encounter to try to bring everybody in the country, the political actors, to come up with a declaration that they do not accept political vigilantism within their parties. And as I also said in my opening remarks, I believe this commission can also help us. This commission can help because of the respect that Ghanaians have come to associate with the commission. I believe we can also get some directions from the work of this commission. You see, my Lord, if crime is not punished, it encourages others to do it. If Kojo did it and was able to get away with it, why should Ama not do it? We've had this thing, this sort of violence associated with by-elections in the country over so many years. There has not been one occasion when one has been properly investigated and those found to have misconducted themselves punished. So why should others not try it? I hope this commission can take a holistic view and find a solution to this evil. But it may well mean, and I don't want to suggest anything, it may well mean that we look at all instances where people have misconducted themselves just because of an election. At Peduase, we had a look at what actually causes this sort of political vigilantism. And I think the experts came up with some interesting answers. What I did notice was that unless a firm action is taken, there is everything to motivate political actors to continue to use these vigilante groups. We need to take a firm action.
Very well, Honorable Minister. Now, we are all aware that there is an upcoming general election, even though it's 2 years away, but it's not that far. And this incident that's taking place caused anxiety among the populace. What specific measures are you putting in place to ensure that what occurred at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency will not be repeated during the next general election?
There is this belief that what happened at Ayawaso, as it relates to the national security, was the work of some party vigilante group being used by the national security. I have said that is not the case, and I want that to be on record. But yes, what happened now teaches us that all of us will be in danger of surrendering the democracy that we think we have in 2020 if something is not done about this problem today. As far as the government is concerned, the setting up of this commission to properly investigate and find out what happened and to prescribe appropriate sanctions for those who misconducted themselves, we think that is the first step towards eliminating this sort of canker from our system. People undertake crime because others were not sanctioned. It is important that we sanction people. Nobody goes through the red light in the advanced countries because everybody knows the consequences. We go through the red light here because we know there wouldn't be any sanction. This commission, I believe, is God-sent. Go into it, find out exactly what happened. It may be more than I have been told. Find out exactly what happened, and let us be bold as a country to hold people who misconducted themselves accountable and let us sanction them. When that sanction comes, it will offer serious pieces of advice to people who are contemplating to do similar things in the future.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your testimony. I have a few questions that I need clarified. You talked about how the national security people found themselves in that area on that day, and you indicated that they acted on an intelligence report and that it was when they got there that they found it was the home or house of the NDC candidate. Am I correct?
Not house in terms of residence. He doesn't live there, but he was using, or he has been using that building, I think, as a warehouse. But whatever they use that he normally uses it for, that day, it was more or less one of the operational headquarters of the NDC candidate.
You said it was when they arrived that they discovered this. You mean the intelligence did not disclose who owned the place?
They found out when they got there that the place was owned by the NDC candidate. The intelligence must have told them earlier before going there, or they must have found it when they got there. I need to get an answer to this specific question from the commander.
I would appreciate hearing the answer myself, because I cannot believe that an intelligence report that guns, or at least arms and ammunition, are being stockpiled in a particular locality, and no effort would be made to find who owned it before operatives moved in there.
It depends upon when they got the intelligence and the time available to them to have gone to do an earlier surveillance. It's not something surprising to me that they go there only to find that it belonged to a particular person. But again, it's important we know the exact position. And this, I believe, we will get it from the commander himself. At what point in time did he get the intelligence?
Because the place was near a polling station.
Yes.
It was a public election. So a lot of members of the public were expected to go there to exercise their civic duty. So if people who were armed were being moved to conduct an operation in that area, I suspect that it would require a bit more planning, a bit more caution, so that no member of the public would be hurt.
You are right. And wasn't that exactly what they did? When they got there and realized that it was within the vicinity of a polling station, they stayed out of it. They didn't just rush into the house until they had cause to go closer to the place when people with 15 motorbikes were there and things were becoming suspicious. The only reason they did not go into the house immediately was because they must have said to themselves, well, there is an election here. Don't let us cause undue commotion, I suspect.
When they discovered that it was near a polling station, did they make contact with the operational commander for that day for election duties?
You know, I wouldn't know much about the details that day. I think the commander who was in charge should give answers to such important questions.
Okay, so we may need to speak with the commander of the operation. Certainly. Okay. You indicated that they fired 6 warning shots and that the shots hit nobody.
That is the report that has been given to me by the commander. Again, I believe it should be subjected to some investigation, some analysis to find out whether what he has told me is correct. But yes, he's giving me that information.
Has there been any forensic evidence of the bullets, the location, and anything else from the person who was hit?
Any such investigation will not come from within the national security. It will come from this commission or probably the police. So no investigation has been done at the National Security Office to establish the truth in some of these things.
May I ask then, what are the protocols for using firearms in this armed unit?
That it must be the same protocols as obtained within the Ghana Police Service. Remember, all those who can use weapons are policemen. They belong to the Ghana Police Service. It is just that they are working in that unit.
And so the police are investigating whether there were a breach of any of these protocols on use of firearms?
It's a standard procedure. So if there had been breaches, if people did not follow the rules of engagement, I expect that some investigation will be conducted. And you see, it's very, very important for us that it gets done.
Who issued them the firearms?
The director of operations and the police commander. The armory that we have at the National Security Council is under the control of the director of operations, Colonel Opoku. Weapons are issued to the commander for distribution.
Then surely they must have protocols that are specific to the use of those arms?
I cannot imagine them not having such protocols, yes.
You are not aware that they do?
I do not go into those nitty-gritties. These are operational matters.
Who would be aware?
The commander will be aware, the director of operations will be aware, and the national security coordinator, who does the technical aspects of my work, will also be aware.
So we may ask them for information.
Yes. And I think it's important we have such information.
Because they were so sure it wasn't their guns that caused the injury. So they must have known something.
I have asked repeatedly, and they say that it did not come from their guns. I think the investigations should seek to unearth the truth.
Does anybody have the spent cartridges? Did they report to the headquarters with the spent cartridges?
I'm sure they did. I cannot say that I have looked at them, but it is the normal practice that they normally pick such cartridges and use it as part of their reporting.
You talked about how normal it is for these people to wear masks. I can understand them showing off their prowess on Independence Day. But when they move into a civilian area, highly built up area, next to a polling station, is it not odd that they would wear masks?
Not really. I think the important thing is that they needed to have made it possible for them to be recognized. They wore T-shirts which had the inscription National Security.
Anybody can make a T-shirt, sir.
But to me, that was enough to let people know that they do come from this particular place. You see, you're giving the impression that the badge that they wore was primarily to prevent people knowing who they were and who that particular person is. No. Who that masked or not, the commander knew who they were individually.
But the people who employ them, the public, did not know. And people, members of the public, have been attacked by armed robbers wearing masks. How were they not to make an association between the two?
I have seen a lot of operations by policemen in Ghana outside where these policemen also have been wearing, they've got masks, which makes it impossible for you to know exactly who they are because of the way they normally dress. I don't really see the problem in that per se. But if you think it constitutes a problem, yes, let us go into that one as well. We are prepared to review some of these things if it is established that it will help the usefulness of having a commission such as this.
Thank you. Now, those who deployed, you said there are questions you can't answer. So if you can't answer, that's okay. We will ask them. But did it occur to anybody that with two parallel command and control situations in the same area, that there would be confusion?
There was no parallel command and control.
The elections were being held under...
This was not something that happened at a polling station. These people were at a different place. They were not part of the security for the by-elections. We need to draw that distinction. So it wasn't that the security for the by-elections, that was being provided by a joint team under the control of the Director General Operations of the police. This was an operation about the possible hoarding of weapons in a house within that vicinity. So there were no parallel command and control now. They were not doing the same job.
I would have agreed with you if I hadn't read a Codeo report in the media about one such person manhandling a police officer on duty at a polling station in a completely different area. That's why I'm a little surprised that they were not part of any election duty.
I've asked the same question to my commander, that I have heard it said that there was a national security operative, part of SWAT, who was manhandling somebody elsewhere. They say that they are not aware, and it would be odd that a member of their team would have, on his own, gone elsewhere to do that sort of thing. I've tasked them to find out the truth in that.
So maybe we should also find the truth in that.
I think we should. And I believe if that was what happened, that will be something that we should be able to interrogate and to sanction if necessary.
You said that it was possible that some of the people in this SWAT team may have participated in some vigilante groups in the past.
It is possible.
How are these people recruited?
They are recruited based upon their expression of interest. They will come to us. They want to work for the national security. You know, we have a number that we necessarily must get to be able to provide the duties that they do. We need people to be at the harbors, for instance. We need people to be at the ports. We need people to be guarding official buildings and places like that. So we do normally. And again,
I know that you have a few rude young women at the airport.
Rude?
Yes.
Never knew about a rude woman before.
I have encountered them on my way out of Ghana.
You see, Prof, how important it is that we get such things reported to us so we can investigate. When you employ so many people, it is possible that it happens. We try as much as possible, and I always insist on it, that those who are at the airport should see themselves as ambassadors for the country. When we hear instances of people trying to solicit for financial help from passengers and whatnot, we take very, very serious view. We don't think people at the airport in particular should be discourteous at all. No, it's not good for the image of the country.
So it is at all material times they are known to be delivering a service?
Not all the security agents that you find, say, at the airport will be one of these operatives. They may well be from the BNI, from the RD, from immigration, from other security agencies. So if one is discourteous, it is not necessarily from the national security operatives. But I'm not suggesting that they are incapable of that.
I hope they are given an outlook of service as they go on duty. But back to the arms. The people were deployed to go and check because of some intelligence received. Did they succeed in going to check? Did they find any arms then or since?
Very important question, but we've also tried to find out. Following the incident, and because of the fact that it was an operational headquarters for one of the candidates, they did not think it was tactical for them to force themselves into the compound and to conduct the searches that normally would have been necessary.
Then how did they come to fire 6 warning shots?
Again, we're investigating, but I have been told that the shots, the first number of shots, came from within the compound. The warning shots were in response to shots that came from that compound. And as they will let me believe, they strongly believe that the person who had that gunshot wound did not have it outside of the premises. Again, we need to interrogate and go into this and find out the truth.
It's been about 2 weeks since this happened. And national security has not investigated.
This is an investigation to be undertaken by the police service, and I suspect that they are undertaking the necessary investigations. It is also important that the commanders at the national security should also be trying to find answers to some of these nagging questions.
That is what I was hoping I would hear. Yeah. That within national security,
up till now, I've not had any.
You also investigate these things, because when you send people out on operation, at a minimum, they must come and report what happened. Yeah. And if there have been injuries or fatalities, they are supposed to make a full report. They are supposed to do forensic tests so that we know where the bullet came from. They must be sure the bullet did not come from them. But if they just come and report that, well, we fired 6 shots, but nobody was injured. If somebody was injured, they shot themselves or something like that. Shouldn't the institution be interested in the disciplinary aspects of the operations?
Well, investigations should be conducted, but technical investigations such as this, which involves the forensic analysis and whatnot, will normally be undertaken by the police. They have that is the police headquarters, not the police unit that we have. They wouldn't have the expertise to be able to do that. And again, who is auditing the auditor?
Yeah, who is auditing the auditor, indeed. Yeah. You alarmed me by saying that these groups, so-called vigilante groups, I insist they are militia groups, that they belong to individuals, which has alarmed me that we have warlordism also on our hands, and that they don't belong to the parties, but belong to individuals within the parties. Am I correct?
I was alarmed. I was as alarmed, madam, myself, to hear this. But this is based on an authentic by the CDD, and the report is available.
That means that these people answer only to particular people.
We need to probe into that further. But yes, that is the suggestion that is being given. And I look at it and I say to myself, this could be true, or this is true. Because I don't believe that among the listed assets of any of the political parties is a vigilante group.
So the president is commander-in-chief, and you have other mini commanders-in-chief heading in the interstices of the parties.
Madam, that is the danger that we are trying to address. We will have a government in a country solely for the purpose of providing public goods and public services. That is why we have a government anywhere in the world. The provision of security and safety to citizens is a public service which must be undertaken by the government, the state.
It's the first duty.
Yes, the first duty. If anybody else tries to take over that duty, that responsibility, then we are all in trouble. That is why we are all crying. That if you are not careful, you will get to the point where...
Sir, I can cry, but you can't cry. You have responsibility.
That is why on a daily basis I'm working towards it. And indeed, madam, unlike you, I am aware, I have practical examples of the dangers that loom ahead. So, yes, you may be able to cry. I can assure you, I can never sleep because of these things. I lose sleep when I think about them and continuously be working towards that. Remember, as a government, we have made it clear to Ghanaians that we are against this thing. We've said it not because it serves our politics to say so, but because we are very, very clear in our mind that a great danger to the democracy that we've all come to enjoy is endangered if you don't stop this parallel provision of security services in the country.
Sir, you've successfully taken away my sleep. We've been told that the police, through the Ministry of Interior, are developing a strategy for dealing with this matter. Is your outfit a part of the development of this strategy?
We think together. They undertake things on their own, but we think together. All these things would have been considered by the security ministers and the security council. The implementation will be made by various agencies, probably under different ministries.
I'm talking of the strategy level, not the operational. Because if they are now developing a strategy, then I expect that your outfit would be a part of developing the strategy.
There's a strategy to do what?
To deal with these militia groups.
Oh, yes. As I said, we've been having discussions, we've been having retreats, we've been talking to people. We've not even limited finding the solution to the political class alone. We're talking to the real experts down there on the field. We're talking to the security and intelligence operatives who are working now. We're talking, with all due respect, to people like the former IGPs who understand these issues. It is something that Ghana must get right. And in finding a solution, we try not to politicize it or to take it as something that we alone can do. There has been very, very wide consultation. We will continue to do that, and we will hope that, again, with the efforts that is being made through this commission, we will be able to find a solution. Let me just reiterate that, please, it is in everybody's interest that we do find a solution to this danger.
You are talking about this matter keeping you awake, it being your major national security challenge. Have you deployed your intelligence resources to finding out about these groups, who funds them, and all of those things? Because the funding is very important. That's what produces these other militia groups in the Sahel and so on that we are all concerned about.
Madam, it's not my number one security challenge today. It is one of my major security challenges.
I stand corrected.
I think that should be emphasized. It certainly is one of the key national security threats that we have in this country. And in finding the solutions, gathering relevant intelligence is very, very important, as you rightly suggest. And we do have our intelligence agencies working on it. Let me not go into the details, but for instance, it is important for us that we find out where the money is coming from. At first, we probably had taken that easy belief that, oh, the political parties were providing it. We have been told by this CDD study, for instance, that no, it is provided by certain groups within the parties. So where do they get the monies from? And why are they spending their monies that way? I can assure you that the intelligence agencies are hard at work trying to unravel the mystery behind all these things.
Thank you very much. It won't make me sleep better till I know you have found a solution. But at least it tells me that you are putting some muscle behind it. Now, does your outfit intend to do some more investigation on this CDD finding so that you move it from an academic study or research to actually developing strategy to deal with it, or a blueprint for dealing with it? Because
It wasn't only the CDD study. As I said, all the experts from academia, from the security agencies, former security gurus, we met, and there were a whole lot of issues that came up. One of it being the one that came from the CDD. I know that there is a major effort that is going to be made by a group of civil society groups who want to take it upon themselves to try to find a solution, because in their opinion, the solution must be a civil society-led, not led by the politicians. At the core of the problem, madam, is the mistrust among the political actors. So probably a solution can come from there. But again, specifically with respect to what the CDD did, yes, we have taken the decision that we probably must even, I think I can disclose, as much as possible, we even want to provide more funding for them to do more intensive work in this area.
Mr. Minister, one last question for you. Are those in charge of our security failing us?
No. You have serious challenges. Don't let me tell you about the other challenges. But we are working very, very hard. The statistics don't suggest that we're getting into any state of insecurity. The evidence is there that we are really studying the program. We've improved upon our intelligence gathering capabilities. We are making the necessary investment. Some of the statistics, madam, will alarm you. You know, the state of, say, the logistics that was available to the various security agencies in terms of equipment, stuff like that. We have done a lot to improve upon them. It's not just expecting the police to do well. You must make it possible for the police to do well. We're working very hard on that score. We are analyzing the programs. We are meeting. It will interest you to know that probably for the first time in our history, the National Security Council meets regularly. At least every quarter, there is a meeting of the National Security Council chaired by the president himself so that we can address some of these issues. We've improved upon our relationship with neighboring countries such that intelligence gathering from those areas is also helping us. We've been able to get very, very reliable, very important intelligence from our neighboring countries. That did not exist in the past. So the challenges are there, but we believe that we are on top of it. We believe that it's not gone out of hand. We believe that we live in an age where, because of social media and the effectiveness of the media, everything gets over-publicized. You know, there have been instances where the media wants answers to issues that are being investigated. And yet when we are investigating, the only thing that we need is some secrecy. And yet today, society expects that you give information to them. I believe we're doing very, very well. And I don't lose sleep over whether the security situation is safe or not. I think it's very safe. It's very safe. And our tendency to absorb criticisms, I believe, is also very, very helpful. We've reached out to people who have openly criticized, have asked for their views. We've sat down with them. Most times they realize, oh, okay, I didn't know about this. But most times we also learn a lot from them. But you just said that the first duty of a government is the provision of a safe, secure country, probably number one. We don't doubt that. And we have never lost sight of that. This is a major challenge to us. Please help us, all Ghanaians, help us to stop this danger.
I said it was my last question, but something you said just occurred to me to ask you this. Do you think there are some people in the official SWAT team who are moonlighting as members of these vigilante groups?
That should be against the rules. Once you come to work for us, moonlighting for the vigilante groups, obviously, is a very serious offense and should be punished.
I hope your investigation would cover that as well.
Especially now that you've said it, I will make sure that quietly we find out whether there are people who are moonlighting. You see, if you do have a soldier well-trained, policeman well-trained, who decides not to offer all his services to the police, to the army, but to moonlight and make personal benefits out of it, you are in danger. That is another form of vigilantism. It's another form of offering parallel security and safety services, not to be tolerated by any society.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, just a suggestion. You give opening statements which were oral, and you also told us about the discussions at PDRC. Specifically, I'm interested in the discussions and the findings on the causes of political vigilantism or the militia groups, their history, the way they operate, their misuse and uses. And could you kindly give us a written excerpt of some of these discussions in relation to the vigilante groups?
I think so. We'll be very, very happy to share them. In fact, we probably should even consider making it available to the public so that they also will come to appreciate what is going on. But I do promise that I will give you excerpts of what happened at PDRC to this commission so that you can have a look at it. What they consider to be the causes of it all, very, very interesting, and I think you should know about them.
Thank you. My last question. Normally, when people talk of the fight against these groups, and when we meet to discuss them, I would wish to be assured that we always remember that the criminal justice system is a group, and therefore we always include the judiciary and the experts on the court system, the immigration, the customs, and other agencies apart from the police and the agencies under you, so that we think of them, the solutions holistically, and then whatever we do as a country involves these other groups who can also help us to fight the menace.
Yes, my Lord. And indeed, this explains why we made sure that the Minister for Justice and the Attorney General was part of this discussion group. And in fact, he made a lot of interesting suggestions bordering on the same things that you are talking about.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for your testimony. Just one or two questions. When did you get the intelligence that arms were stored in a house belonging to the NDC candidate?
I could mislead if I give an answer to this. I think the commander will be in a better position to tell exactly when the intelligence was received.
You don't have any idea of the roughly when that information reached you?
When the information reached me?
Yeah, when the intelligence agency service got that information.
It's my guess. My guess is that it must have been in the morning or the previous night or so, but it's only my guess. I think the correct answer, we should demand it from the commander.
Now, have you been able to get a search warrant to go into that house to find out whether those weapons are being illegally stored there, or the nature of the weapons? Because from your evidence, the SWAT team never entered the house.
No.
And as of today, have you taken steps to find out whether the arms are still there and the source of the arms?
This question was raised at my briefing. The suspicion is that the people must have run away with whatever weapons were there. When they saw the police and when they saw that we were around, naturally, as they were leaving the house, they must have, they obviously took them away. But an in-depth investigation probably is appropriate to find out exactly what happened to the suspected arms that were there.
Now, you say that the people who were in this khaki uniform, all of them were part of the SWAT team?
Yes, that is my brief, that all of them, according to the commander, I have no cause to believe that he will try to lie to me on this, but says that all the people there were his men, the people that he normally works with.
And part of the SWAT team are police officers?
25 of them are police officers. People have talked a lot about the vehicles that they used, that some belong to the police. Yes, so there were some vehicles that had been painted as police vehicles because, in fact, they are police vehicles. And then there were some pickups, I think.
And is it therefore not surprising that police officers said that they were not aware, he was not aware of the people who were the SWAT team? I mean, the people who were dressed, who were not dressed as police officers, but were dressed in this khaki uniform and were armed.
The person, Your Lord, who said that was the Director General in charge of operations of the police force. And I have taken the liberty to ask him, why did you say this? His answer to me was that, Minister, I had just got it out of my car. And he posed that question. At that point in time, I did not know anybody. So I said something to that effect. So again, probably worth interrogating, but he's probably the best person to give that explanation.
Honorable Minister, these masks, you say that it is not unusual for security operatives to wear these masks. Could you tell me the circumstances under which it becomes expedient or necessary for them to put on masks?
I think at times they try to make themselves look fearsome. As I said, there have been instances where they have paraded with these hoods on. What does it really mean? Is it an attempt to hide themselves from the public? I think to the extent that the commander knows the people that he's working with, there can be no question of hiding yourself. If anything happens, the commander will know who did it. If, as part of our culture, we want to discourage that, yes, we will look at that. I'm not sure what effect it can have on the effectiveness of our security agencies if you were to rule that in future anybody, policeman, or even a civilian operative on assignment should not mask the face. We are very happy to look at it. I can discuss this with my experts and see what effect it has.
Definitely, you can give the assurance that we would not see that
No, I consider this a very...
Because, I mean, you don't really think that before the fear and panic when the public sees police officers or police SWAT officers in masks?
When I consider this a very mature advice, I certainly should try to work with it. All these guys keep my experts, and I can see, with all due respect, the wisdom in that because of that fear and panic that it creates. I will examine it with my experts.
Okay, now you said you saw on television that Mr. Sam George was assaulted. You saw.
That's right.
That was something you saw on television.
I saw it, and I've also been given a report, not a written report. I've been briefed on it, and I'm told that this young operative had only said that, honorable member, please stop creating fear and panic. Nobody was killed, but you communicate to the whole world that somebody has died and that you've seen him with your eyes. The operative is saying he was then insulted by the honorable member. I have specifically said at the briefing, and I've told the commander my views about it, that should an insult of a security officer, a policeman, a soldier, lead to an assault on a citizen, I think looking at.
You would admit that the assault is a criminal offense?
An assault is an offense.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, I've said to them, to what extent is it right for you to assault somebody because of provocation? So that's why probably we should look into that.
As we speak today, the person who assaulted him, has he been arrested?
No, not as far as I know.
Why not?
Well, that arrest will normally come from the police service. It will be interesting for me to find why he has not been arrested so far. Probably as part of their investigation, they've not found cause for him to be arrested. But I will find out.
What about those who suffered injuries? I understand that at least 6 people were sent to the East Legon police station. Have you found out how they sustained the injuries or who caused the injuries?
Yes, we've demanded that a team from the national security, not just the SWAT people, should try to find out for us the injuries that they had and to see whatever support we can give to them. But that should not stop the investigation that is crucial to establish what led to it and where people have to be sanctioned for perpetrating such acts. So the investigations should go on, I think.
So as of now, you don't know exactly who caused the injuries to those civilians?
No, as at now, the brief that they gave us wasn't able to say. Not that we didn't ask, but the commander wasn't able to say that it was this man, that man. It was more of a scuffle involving so many people. Remember, about 15 people on motorbikes. There were people in the house already. These people also numbered about 60 in all. A little bit of confusion was there. But we need to be able to unravel it. And I believe the security agencies should be able to assist, especially the police, what went wrong. The beauty of this whole exercise, my Lord, is that we are able to pinpoint who misconducted himself and accordingly sanctioned. So, into the root of all this, we believe is very essential.
And don't you think it will instill public confidence if that is done as quickly as possible and those responsible are arrested?
I believe so. And probably that was that was one of the reasons why we wanted the work of this commission and whatever other investigation is being conducted within the security agencies, all to be concluded, say, within a month. So we can be able to do whatever is necessary in terms of sanctions. A quick response will put a lot of restore a lot of confidence in the Ghanaian people.
Now, Honorable Minister, you are aware that there is a perception out there that these vigilante groups belong to political parties.
Well, the CDD is challenging that, but my lord, it is true that name the vigilante group and we will be able to tell you what political party it's related to, whether it is then owned by the political party or some big wigs of the political party. The fact still remains that the vigilante groups do have an association or are related to some political, but I think it's useful, as the honorable member suggested, that we get you a copy of this report. Because, my lord, one interesting thing that is said was that the vigilante groups are also made up of the leaders. Whenever they have an operation, they go to Thugs Market and take people from there. So a vigilante, some member, may today be fighting for a political party A, tomorrow it will be political party C. People just go there and say, hey, there's an operation. Don't have political affiliation per se. So the study was good in that it brought to light a lot of things that probably we had taken for granted. And they are able to prove that at this particular event where vigilantes were used, there were members who, in another event, had worked for the other political party. They're getting more advanced, they're getting more sophisticated. We really need to find an end to this thing, Your Lord.
I would have thought that you're in a better position to find out who finance and
we're working very hard on that.
Control these vigilante groups.
We are working very hard on that.
Through your intelligence services. So that if there are people within the political parties who are financing and control them, your intelligence should have made that information possible. You're saying that as at now, your intelligence agencies don't have an idea about individuals in political parties who are financing and controlling these vigilante groups?
All along, the perception has been that these are vigilante groups owned, funded by the political parties. The political parties provide funding when there is an operation to be done. But when there is no operation, the members must survive. And the way they survive is to get financial support from these people who own them. We are now using our intelligence capabilities to try to get to the bottom of it and find out who are the people behind the various groups, how are they getting the monies, how they are providing the funding, and to take the necessary actions. Difficult to give all the strategy, but the essential thing is that we think we should improve upon the intelligence gathering in finding out who provides the persuades and the CDs.
Right, thank you very much. We thank you for your testimony and could leave. If it becomes necessary to recall you, we'll do
sure.
so. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that was National Security Minister Albert Kandapar giving his testimony to the Commission of Inquiry in charge of investigating what happened at Ayawaso during the by-election. There he's been saying a couple of things and tried to show his commitment to dealing with the problem prior to this particular event. And during his testimony, he did mention that 3 days before the event, he spoke at a round table organized by the Peace Council and the British government on issues of political vigilantism. He also mentioned that he was at a program at Pediasa when this commission was constituted to look into this matter. He was asked about the relationship between himself and the Minister of State in charge of national security. Now, you may know by now that the Minister of State in charge of national security has mentioned that these men were deployed from the national security outfit, and he was asked if, you know, such or whether this national security minister at the presidency takes instructions from him, and he says yes, but not all the time. And he's also been asked how members of the national security operatives are chosen or recruited. He mentioned that the people who were masked were comprised of two different people. So 25 of them from the police service and about 35 who are civilian national security operatives. And he says that none of the civilian national security operatives were armed. And if there were any any member of that group that was armed, it would be that they were from the police service. Obviously, if you've been watching, you would recall the first person to testify was the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, and he mentioned that the vehicles that were branded police being used by these operatives did not belong to the Ghana Police Service. The National Security Minister has actually given an opposite testimony to that. He says it actually belongs to the Ghana Police Service and says that the national security operatives use vehicles sometimes from the national, from their own pool of vehicles, and also from the Ghana Police Service. Asked why the Interior Minister and or the IGP would give you know, a different testimony to that or counter that claim, he said, well, it is possible that they may not be aware, and that at every point there's a unit of the Ghana Police Service deployed to the national security, and they don't report directly to the Director of Operations at the Ghana Police. And so it's possible that they were there working with the national security as police officers, but the Director of Operations of the Ghana Police Service will not be aware of what they were doing at that moment. And he was asked how these people are recruited, and he said, well, when they show interest, there's always a limited number. Didn't give too much details on that, but you've been watching our live coverage of the first hearing of the Commission of Inquiry into the Ayawaso West Wogan by-election violence, and it's been interesting. If you missed any part, you can catch up on YouTube. It will be uploaded there on the JoyNews channel, also on myjoyonline.com. Just go there, furnish yourself with details, just a lot of it. Stay with us here on the JoyNews channel, because in subsequent bulletins we'll be doing a lot of analysis. For example, where the Interior Minister says there was no police officer who was armed. Well, we have video evidence showing some police officers armed, and there are a couple of other issues like that there would be analysis, questions will be asked, and a lot more will be gotten from what we've heard so far from the Commission of Inquiry. But for now, that will be it from me, Benis Abubedu Lansa. Do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. I really, really appreciate your company. Enjoy the rest of your day.